here. Excellent. Okay, welcome everybody. Up here comes Kira. 3, 6, 9. There's 10 here, right? Yeah, good. There is. Oh, he's got a good size.
Hi, Kira.
So
And hi, Kira, as well.
we've got 13 up in Pine Ridge,
All
and,
right.
and we have another interesting group. We're going to have another group soon, coming in a week or two, probably on the next one. The grandmother who's been with us, who's visiting in Pine Ridge, she's 102. So she calls me young man. I love it. She's going back home, and she has 4 friends. The youngest one, I believe she said, was 88. And they're going to start, oops, they're going to start joining us as well. And then I got a call today, which was interesting. The energies are shifting and moving, like Mark was saying. It's like, okay, could you please just do everything all at once right now? Everything you've learned to this point, just do it right now. I got a call from back in Pennsylvania. I went back to Pennsylvania for a while, so 5 or 6 years ago, to be caregiver for my mother, who was getting ready to take her final journey. And when it was time, after my mom passed, my ex decided that we were going to go on our own walks and not together anymore. Okay. So I went to a little powwow that was nearby. I was invited to, and I was asked to speak, which I did. And I had my big drum with me because I was heading cross country. I was going to head back out here. They asked me to set that up, so we set it up anyway. I got very busy that day, and 2 grandmothers who were there made this for me, the headband with eagles. And I remember the discussion when they did that. They said, "Yeah, you're Graywolf, right?" They knew me from online. Um, and I said, "Yes, I am." They said, "Well, we're going to make this eagles because you're going to work with eagles." And I said, "Well, I do work with eagles too, but Graywolf is my name and my totem." So they made this for the eagles, and just, here we are now doing eagles. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to get on. They hope they would be here tonight. If not, they'll listen to the recording. So thank you, grandmothers. We're getting inundated by grandmothers. Jerry, we better be careful, man. We're going to have the
Is
eyes
that
of
a
the,
golden eagle?
huh?
Is your picture behind you, is that a golden eagle?
It is. Yep.
My husband explained it. He just went to Canada
Wolves.
and he saw a golden eagle for the first time.
Cool.
And he was telling me what it looked like, and I'm looking at it going, oh my gosh, that must be what he was talking about.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah. So either we're going to have them or they'll tune in later, but some of them are going to, their group, they have a general group there that'll start listening in as well. So this thing is growing, and to any of you who have spread the word, keep doing it. Let's get this thing growing. We're hitting a lot of different things. So tonight we're going to touch a little bit on telling truth from fiction and helping use nature to do that. But I've been getting a lot of feedback. Some, me personally, came in dream time, but some I've had people asking me. So we may just touch into some of these, we may not, and they might be future pieces. If anybody gets ideas for topics for programs, please jot them in there. We want to do what the group wants, not what Jerry and I create or Chris or anybody else. So I got music and the arts. Is it becoming important again? Which I think it is. I don't know, easy way to say it. There seems to be friction between some of the older and the younger once again. And there's the group, and we have a bunch of them here in Sedona, who think they know more than they do because they just don't have the experience yet. And there's some of the older who think, well, we're not going to work with them or they're not going to work with us. And we want to do some work around that. And I hope to get some young people in when we do that program. And somebody else mentioned, yeah, this one's getting, AI is getting really big. And I am going to do some videos on that because I think we're looking at it the wrong way. And there's a couple others, but that's enough for now. So why don't we do, I don't want to take too much time. Who wants to open the circle? Does anybody have a strong desire to open the circle with a prayer or thought? No dancing. Okay, it won't work.
Anybody? Anybody want to open the circle?
Deafening silence. Does anybody named Kara want to open the circle by any chance? She doesn't have to.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I had a vision. Oh,
No, let go.
Okay.
I don't want to turn my speaker off. Go.
Well, I just want to say thanks everybody for gathering tonight. This is very cool. It's my first time here, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Mother Earth and Father Sky, for watching over us. Thank you for guiding us into our hearts and into our bodies and into sacred connection with one another so that we may speak the truth that lies underneath all of everything else, all of our daily lives, our biases, our fears. Thank you for diving us deep into our hearts so that we can speak and know what is real for ourselves and share it with vulnerability and compassion. Thank you to the four directions for coming in and creating a beautiful sacred circle. Thank you for sharing your wisdom of the continuous circle that never ends and how we are all part of it. And thank you for all of our individual, our personal guides, our community guides, our worldly guides who are here, our ancestors who are here with us always, but here specifically right now to guide us in sacred, reciprocal relationship with one another, with the earth, with our past, our present, and our future, so that we may weave together, dream together, and bring to physical reality what is most needed at this time. Thank you, and blessed be.
thanks, Kira. Perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's a good start. Do we, what is it, lunch 3, 6, 11, of course, the sacred number. What else would it be? So I got the first message from Pine Ridge from Tom and the group up there. Grandmother Jan is no longer 102. She had a birthday the other day. She's now 103.
Wow.
Well, happy birthday, grandmother, from all of us.
Happy birthday.
Do we
Very
want to?
much happy birthday.
Yeah, not too many make it to that point, I don't think.
Mhm.
Do we want to quickly just go around and just do name what energy is in the surface and where you are or not?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Hey, I'm Jerry. So Ingwa and excitement, I guess, is the energy that's with me right now. I'm so happy to see everybody that's here today with us, and the group from Pine Ridge and all the people that have came, and just happy and excited to see all of you. Thank you. Next, who's next?
I'll go. I'm just having a slow day today. Had a wonderful day out in nature yesterday. Was there for multiple hours. Just really beautiful day and just settling in with that today. And I hope that comes across and we can share from that space. So thank you.
Oh,
Oh, I'll introduce myself. Mark Mangus. I wish I could have a slow day today. I was feeling that many times. It was not. But it's all good. It's all happening for me, and I realize that.
mhm.
And coming in with a lot of gratitude and Still carrying with me the very potent and vibrant energy of the foothills of the Alps in Italy. I was there 2 weeks ago. And my mentor, Pasquale Paza, who's a Indian shaman who I spent 8 days there with. And what an incredible role model, for lack of a better term. Ever since I've gotten back, whenever I get a little stressed, I think, what would Pasquale do? And I immediately calm down. So I'm in with that.
Cool. Great. Thank you. I still do that, Mark. My primary teacher has been gone about 10 years now, but I still turn around and what would you? Oh, sorry. And he still answers. So keep it up. Who wants to stick? Talking stick right here.
Who's next? Step right up, somebody.
Or not. You don't have to. Nobody else want to check in? Okay. That works. Hey, Jerry, I'm thinking too, if some story it's
I had to sing it off. Why not this shit? That was probably one of the best days of my life.
Hello.
hello.
Yes, my name is Kevin Wakian,
Oh,
and can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm from Hempstead, West Virginia. I came here from Illinois. I spoke to my grandfathers, and they said that anything that I can do to help promote the betterment of the people, I do. Never considered myself a grandfather, but I asked, why do the people look at me? And they said, how do you treat the people that I love? And they said, as long as you treat your people that way, this is why they look at you that way. So I had to start praying, and I started understanding what they were talking about. And thank you for letting me be here today.
Thank you for
Thank
being
for
here,
being with
brother.
us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. That's good. And you bring up a really important point, and it's part of what's been coming with some of these discussions I'm having with people. Yeah, why do you see yourself as the grandfather? It doesn't matter really what we see ourselves as in my world, the way I was taught. We go, we do our work, but if our peers and our community call us grandfather or grandmother or healer or whatever, that's what matters. And that's, I think, what you're tapping into. So welcome, grandfather. Glad you're here. Anybody else wish to check in? Okay. Yeah, Jerry, if a story that helps with truth and fiction, that would be awesome. I didn't think of this before, I would have said it. Maybe it won't, but it might. Jerry has an inventory probably of 1,000 stories, maybe more.
I might know one or two.
Yeah, I thought so. So, Gathering of Eagles. This thing is growing rapidly, and that's great. We kind of envisioned it when Jerry and I talked that it would be a good time for this. People are responding. If you go to Facebook, you can join the group. It's the Gathering of Eagles. And we're going to start doing more and more there. And there's going to be things we do only there. So there'll be some pieces which you can enter into there and share what you're thinking. There'll be other programs that may just be for that group. We're just going to see how it evolves. Because Jerry and I are the quote unquote hosts of this, but that's just because somebody had to fill the role. This is coming from the circle. And Mark, who had a great men's circle and still does, and a couple of our friends there are here. So we're just combining energies and see where it flows. Oops. Jared, anything you want to bring in before we kick off anymore?
No, I think we should just get started. Yeah.
Okay. So, truth from fiction is really interesting. It's always been, there's always been some there who stretch the truth a bit, and it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. But now it just seems to be rampant. No matter which direction you look in, no matter what kind of group you look at, it's like, how the hell do we tell what's really going on? And I think a big part of it is going within. It's how I was trained anyway. If you just listen to somebody's words, that's easy to be confused. It's easy to question. It's easy to say, well, is that true or not? And it's almost become like an art form, it seems like, especially with our political leaders, but not just there. We have too much based on lies. Too much people are trying to hold on to that maybe it's time for it to change. And so when I get asked things, don't, I try not to answer quickly. I do some research. And even then, we get misled. I put a couple posts up yesterday, and by this morning, I realized they were both false. They were completely false. So I had to take them down, and I put an explanation. One thing is with our circle, gathering of eagles, is we can. People in our group seem to be more willing to explore things and see what they hear and what they learn. So that's one way to go about this. Another way is, I'm just going to put a couple of them out and then I'll open it up. Nature, again. And pretty much anything we do in spiritual medicine, certainly when I do my any shamanic medicine, involves nature. There's no choice. You have to involve nature. Nature is our home. Nature is the backdrop for everything we do. And so if you go out and look at nature and ask the question, what I'm hearing, is that true? Did that really happen? Or now, am I really supposed to hate this group or that group? Or is it time to get out of that mindset and drop it and just say, wait, we're all one. Why would I do that? Why did I do that? And there's an old method I used to use. I had some friends who were the primary creators of a process called Natural Leadership Way. And we literally would take people out into the woods. And usually these were business people who were not necessarily conversant with it. And we would rope off one piece of land and we'd have them all go out there and study one part of it. It might be a tree, it might be a bug, it might be the whole thing. And then we'd get together and share what we saw. And there was always an order that came to the surface. Well, why were those beetles going up the tree? And then they would look up the tree and you'd see, oh, there's some birds there, and they eat that kind of beetle. So there's that connection in nature that can help guide us to what's true. If something doesn't feel right for me now, then I assume it's not right until I'm proven that I'm wrong and does have some validity. Okay, so I open with that. Who wants the talking stick to share whatever?
I'll take it.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to begin with a story. Big surprise there.
For people,
well, no, first,
yeah, for
actually,
people
first
who are
I'm gonna
new,
begin.
yeah, tell them who you are.
I'm Jerry Soingwa, black-tailed deer. I'm Menominee. I was also taught and trained by the Hopis. And I was given the responsibility of carrying some of their teachings and their stories. So before I begin with that story, I'm going to begin with something else. How do we recognize truth from fiction? How do we recognize the truth versus what our mind is coming up with? And I start with that because my beautiful wife who passed away, her answer was always the best. She said, think about when you receive something from your mind, and think about when there have been times that you've received it from your spirit. She said the times that you receive it from your spirit or from your guides, it feels lighter. And every time she described that, everyone was able to understand what she meant. Everyone was able to recognize that within their own life. So I wanted to start off with that first. Here's a great one for truth. Now I'll go into a story. In the beginning times, 7 old men called to them. They explained that this person had been chosen very carefully for a special journey. They told the young one of the quest that they would be asked to undertake for the people, so that the person would acquire sacred gifts for the people. The young one agreed. The young one loved knowledge. They didn't like it because it gave them power over others. They loved knowledge for its own sake and wanted all to have it. So this gave that young one the first of the sacred gifts, wisdom. The second grandfather knew that for a person or people, they can never know true power unless they first have love. And so the second grandfather gave that young one the gift of love. Sometimes love is not enough. Sometimes another virtue is needed that we might be good and do good. And so the young man was given the gift of respect. The next grandfather gave the young one the gift of courage so that they could face all tests and ordeals and lessons. The young one had courage, so this allowed them to receive the next sacred gift, honesty. For it takes great courage to be honest, but with it, we will face all situations with integrity. The young person realized in their journey that they were just another part of creation, and so they acquired the gift of humility. As their quest ended, the seventh grandfather set his basket before the young one. Then he spoke. You need not earn or learn this. When you know all these other gifts, when you have them, when you have all of these, then you know truth. These then are the 7 sacred gifts given to us to help us walk this good red road. And that 7th gift is the gift we're speaking about today. Truth. And with that, I will take and put the talking stick in the middle for whoever wants it next.
I think I saw, Chris, you had your hand up. Is it still up or did you demote yourself?
Yeah, I can blither away.
No, don't blither.
Okay. There's a couple of things I always hold when I'm looking to see whether something's true. One is I don't have to stand by it for it to be true. There's a statement that was said in America decades ago. These truths remain self-evident. The truth doesn't need our belief, our attachment, or our energy to maintain itself because it exists on its own. I'll leave it that as a short statement. The other one that I use in A Course in Miracles, the one that I love is that which real cannot be lost. That which can be lost is not real. If we're attaching to something and trying to protect it and hold on to it, that's an attachment. That's not necessarily truth. Now, that doesn't mean something isn't true, but we may not understand it enough to understand the truth of that thing. And this is where, like you were saying, Jerry, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding have to become present in the same picture to see the truth of the thing. Believing something's true doesn't make it true, but knowledge and wisdom and understanding do, which means sitting with it, spending time with it, I find. And it remains. I don't have to feed it energy or convert anybody. It remains on its own, even when questioned with intensity. And if I want to check if something's real, I'll do everything I can to disprove it. And if I can't, then I know there's something solid here. And it's always coming back to that, can I disprove that, which can be the most confronting thing to do? Because often when we think something's true, so many of us have attachments to it. We build our life around that perception of truth. And it's learning to let that go, to find the life that exists within the thing itself. So, and it should uplift us. That doesn't mean it can't be confronting, but sometimes the most truthful things are the most confronting things we have to face. And that is often a good test as well. Doesn't always true. Sometimes it can bring joy, love, compassion, recognition of beauty. There's so much can come along with that. And once again, if it's true, I find it vitalizes and uplifts us naturally. So, talking stick in the middle.
Thank you, sir. Mark.
Yes, sir. Picking up a thread on something that Christopher just said, which is there's a lot of truth seeking happening now. And what I find when I'm confronted with truth seeking, whether it's my own or whether somebody else is coming to me saying, hey, look at this truth, isn't this upsetting? It's not about the truth itself, it's about validation. There people are trying to find an anchor in the storm of the chaos that we're surrounded with by finding something to feel validated about. And that's a slippery slope, even with relatively conscious people, because we're all in service and we're all trying to make the world a better place and do our work and all those kinds of good things. But we still are human, and we can still very easily fall into this trap of truth for validation's sake, or truth for feeling okay sake, right? And part of that is joining into a fight or a conflict or a side as part of this duality matrix that we live in, so that we can feel validated or we can feel okay. And as Christopher was saying, sometimes when you really dig into the truth and you go inward to find the truth, it's really uncomfortable. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with the external view of it that you came in with. And one of the things that I've learned from my practices with the Q'ero shamans from the Andes is we actually have a truth receptor in our body. If we can get clear, meaning we're not coming in with, we create sacred space, however we do that, and we come into that space with a clear intention to know the truth without judgment, without expectation of outcome. We can develop and nurture that truth detector. And the first place I learned to do that was around eating. And that's how I lost 125 pounds, was developing that detector in my body to tell me, should I eat now? Should I eat this? Or should I eat something else? Right? But it would tell me yes, no, very quickly. And this goes into, I don't know if you guys are familiar with heart math, but they do this a lot too. When you get in that clear space and you ask the question, your body responds instantly. There's no time to think. It'll say yes or no. Or you won't hear anything, meaning there's no answer for you for that right now. But all of this to say that there are so many layers to this, but we also have the practical ability as human beings to develop our own truth detector. And the more we use it, the more clear it gets and the more accurate it gets. So it's not a matter of rational thought. It's a matter of developing this integrated mind, body, spirit truth detector that we all have. And I invite you to explore that as I am. I think it's amazing. sometimes the answers I get blow my mind, and I have to go back to them over and over again to revalidate them. But it's good stuff, and we all have the ability to do it. So with that, I'll put the talking stick back in the middle.
Thanks, Mark. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Kara in just 1 minute. But here's an interesting piece from Tom, and it's from one of the younger people up in his group up there in Pine Ridge. Okay, I'm having trouble reading it. Oh, yeah. So there's an interesting observation for someone young. Finding that, I'll paraphrase it, it's easier. You find your truth, you do some research, you have to be flexible, you have to realize maybe your truth is not the truth. But what this person, Dancing Beaver is his name, is saying is, if it changes, you have to be willing to adjust your truth. In his young life, he's 24. He's already had to change his primary truth 3 times. And right now, that is a critical piece because things are shifting so quickly. And what was true for me my whole life now may be totally different. So thank you, Dancing Beaver. Much appreciated. Kara, stick is yours.
Thanks. So I feel like I approach these conversations a little bit differently. I would really love to pose some questions that people can answer or not. They're just things that I'm really curious about right now, especially around truth. And I'll reiterate some of the things that I also put in the comments. But I think first is thank you, Mark, for speaking to what you were talking about. I'm super curious about some of the challenges that you might have faced when you were starting to tap in and listen, and how when you're tapping in to listen and you're taking that conscious time to really connect into a truth center within your own self, how that changes your relationship with the spiritual world versus the physical world, your food and your body. And so, I would love any feedback you have around that. I'm super interested. I'm going to kind of just blurt out the couple other things that I was thinking, but I really appreciated your share. That was really cool to hear. Other things I was wondering about that I'm sure I feel like all of us have really wonderful things to say about this is just what is going inside for each one of us to find that truth look like? What does it feel like? Where in our bodies or in our spiritual practice are we looking and checking in? And what are the ways that we are checking in? What is it? Are we sitting? Are we standing? Can you do it while you're walking and doing other things? Do you need quiet and peace? What sort of mantras are you saying to yourself? I'm just really curious about different techniques and ways that all of us are essentially, what Mark was saying is essentially tapping into our truth center, our inner knowing, right? I think there are so many different ways, and it can't hurt to know about a lot of them and try them out and find which one works the best. So I would love to pose that question to the group. And then I just have one last thought that is something that, especially as a younger person who essentially grew up with the internet most of my whole life, and knowing that there are a lot of younger generations that have grown up with phones in their hands since they were born. So exactly. Yeah. And it's like comical and scary at the same time. And so how I'm tying this into the truth in my brain is what I notice is how challenging it is to come off of technology, to come away from my phone, to come away from scrolling Instagram or Facebook or whatever, emails even, to come away from those things and then find my body again and find my center and calm down my nervous system. And there are people that are my age and younger that don't know what it's like to step away from that. They don't even know what it's like to be inside of their own bodies. So what I'm really curious if, you folks, I'm assuming some of you have experienced not having the internet. So I'm just really curious about, I'm curious about how there are different ways that you as individuals or that you have seen other people come back from being essentially addicted to tech, right? Come back to themselves, find their truth, find their center, find their inner knowings from this challenging place of like, we still need to interact with tech sometimes, but it also, tech clearly distorts this ability to connect in with that deep inner knowing. And I'm really looking for any all tool bridges possible to try out and talk to people with, because it feels really important right now. So
that's great, Kara. Thank you. Let's distill it down so we keep discussions going. One thing you can't do in this is go in 12 directions. Let's work with Kara's last bit, that whole connection piece. And then on anything else she was asking, put them in the chat. And then we will also put them up in the Facebook group so we can also continue discussion there. And that way we can keep moving because there's already several things coming up on the res. I know some of you guys want to talk. So we'll see how that works. This is the largest group we've had so far. So it's kind of juggling things. That was some great questions for sure. And I think that big one right now. And okay, so I'll just center that for a moment. There were no computers when I was young. We didn't have any yet. And then the first computers filled a room. They were enormous. And of course, they weren't for people to use. And then computers started to move in a bit. And I've seen this time and again. I had some of my businesses going by then. I came from an entrepreneurial background. For years, that's what I did. I created businesses with a partner and blah, blah, blah. And my partner and I sat and we thought, well, it's so hard to control this now. Let's try this computer thing. And I remember so many friends and people who wished us well and knew better than us telling us we were going to destroy our businesses. They're all going to collapse because these electronic things were going to make things horrible. And of course, that didn't happen. We made a lot of mistakes. And then we hired somebody, an ex-Navy guy who knew a little bit about computers. And then it happened again when the internet came up. Now it's happening with AI. So to me, it's a very balancing thing. Very balancing thing. No piece of anything is by its nature evil or bad in my world. It's how we use it. That means it's useful or not useful. Does it help us get to where we're going, like Mark talked about so well? Yeah, I think all of us here are trying to create, not trying, we are creating that new time, that new earth that we can all move into. It's what the prophecies talk to. So, okay, where do we want to take it there? Jerry, anything before? I think Chris was next. There's a list of folks now.
Let's hear from everybody else first.
Okay. Chris, I believe you were next on the.
There we are. Yeah, I was going to let others have a go first.
Oh.
One of the things, speaking to what you were sharing, Kara, and asking about, there's a place inside us that people call the inner knowing. In the old mystery schools, they call it gnosis or knowing. And it's a particular place. And I find it's in our in-the-moment consciousness. It can be very controversial the way I put it, but I've refined it, and this is what I've come to. You cannot take the brain there into that inner knowing because it's a place that knows. It's not a thought. It's not a belief. It's not a concept. There's a knowledge. Sometimes people go to the Hall of Records, the Akashic Records, that's a place of knowing, but there is a knowing where all is known. Mm. But knowing that you know, say if we say we know everything, knowing that you know everything doesn't mean you know how to use it or how to work with it wisely, which is once again is where knowledge, wisdom, and understanding come in together as a triple pact. You really can't have one efficiently without the other two equally present. Most people, when they find that in the knowing, everybody that I've witnessed do it when they do, they usually go, forgive my language, they go, oh, holy shit. Because when you know something, you can't unknow it. And sometimes knowing something in its pure form, as it is in the moment, can be very, very confronting, especially if it goes against our beliefs and pre-held concepts. And this space can be found in meditation. This is where that in the moment mind, learning to be present in the moment, becomes so important, because we're listening to a different aspect of our consciousness. Most of us are used to listening to brain activity. The inner knowing is not brain activity, it's in the moment mind, which is outside brain activity, because brain operates in time. So I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more I could say, but
That's good, Chris. That's good. And you bring up a great thing for me too. Let me do this is really great today. We could sit here for 5 hours with all these things. Let me do the 3 minute rule. Go about 3 minutes, and then we'll give it the thumbs up, and then wrap up what you're doing, and we can move on. Unless it's triggering other things, that's fine too. And try to get everybody in as much as we can. Hope that makes sense. Stacy, I believe you were next. Unmute. There you go.
I was responding to something in the chat as well. So I wanted to respond to a couple of things. The question about how do we check in with ourselves, and like how do we know something? For me, the basis of that was to get rid of certain things that I believed. Not that I was like, oh, okay, I have to get rid of these things that I believe, and I'm going to do it in a systematic way. But I think it's through the process of unraveling things that we believe to be true. Like so many people, like for instance, I've met people that they're like, oh, I'm a reformed Roman Catholic, or like recovering Roman Catholic or something, because there were certain things that were drilled into your knowledge receptor as a child. If you go to the Catholic Church every single week, that as you get older and you start to actually know things, you say, wait, this doesn't jive with what I know. So, I mean, I feel like that's an individual path. And in terms of the question earlier about like, how do we go in and check in with ourselves? I feel like in the chaos of this world where there is too much information coming in, that I find it very interesting, especially with young people, that they've sort of been robbed from that. Because when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, you went outside all day long and played with a bunch of other kids. So you knew things because you experienced them. You didn't look it up like, oh, what is that? That's poison ivy. Okay, I shouldn't touch that. And you have this fear base about certain plants, and you have fear base about certain types of things that are happening. We experience them. And I think through experience is how we actually deeply know something. But for me, it's like sometimes I'll write know, like I know something, and KNOW is all in caps, like I'm like, this is something that I know to be true, that I sort of feel actually nervous about sharing with other people, because we're so trained to not know anything. Like, especially as a woman, I feel like, a lot of times if you say something that you know to be true, especially on the internet, there is going to be somebody or multiple somebodies that are not going to be kind about it. But I really feel like if you're out under the stars and, like all these people saying, go outside and be barefoot and whatever. Well, we know that that's the way to do it. Like those of us who know that, and you spend time doing that, you can't ignore the truth that is being communicated to you by all these other beings. And I'm just wondering what everybody else feels about like for me, when I started to really know things was after I was in ceremony with other people. Before that, I felt like there was a lot of knowledge just swirling around all the time. And I feel like it doesn't make any sense to me. I used to think, oh, I want to know about birds, like specific birds. I need to know the name of the bird and I need to know this. And if I don't know that and if I can't speak this language, then I'm ignorant somehow. But now that I'm 55 years old, I realize I'm at an advantage that I don't know the names of all these little birds. I just know I like how they sound. And I know that in the morning I hear certain birds and in the evening I hear certain birds. And having
Good.
more of a childlike mind, openness. Anyway, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Wow. We're getting a lot of good stuff. I don't really want to do breakout groups yet.
Okay.
We're going to be doing a lot more. So please come and if you're not in it, make sure you join that group online. And we are going to set up a whole different platform soon and do some there and do some shows where we go longer and deeper into some things. We're still exploring what the group wants, what the circle wants. So I'm going to jump in because actually the next one was back up with our brothers and sisters on Pine Ridge. And Tom, thank everybody there once again. I mean, it's so awesome the way you guys, because it's a challenge to have to do it this way. So from some of the young people up there again, I'm so glad we're hearing from them. And it's three of the young people in the group. He has six of the people with him today are youth. So from three of them who identify themselves as First Friday young people. If you all know what the First Friday young people are, they're the ones that were going out on Fridays and striking and protesting. And Greta Thunberg, it really came out of her beginning work. So they're wondering about, again, I'm going to paraphrase because this big long thing came through. They're wondering about this Saturday, and they're talk about lies, and okay, thank you for that. Okay, they're talking about how do we know? They're going to go out and they are going to Rapid City to be part of the walk there. Anybody that knows South Dakota and the reservations up there, Rapid City is not kind to the native populations. So that's going to be an interesting challenge to do that. I know there's a couple of big gatherings going on up there this Saturday. This is going to be a real challenge, and we're going to see a lot. And I think everybody should watch what they can on Saturday or read about it afterwards or watch the videos because we're going to learn a lot. I have no idea what it's going to be, but they're predicting over 10 million people are going to come out, and they're coming out in other countries to support us as well. So just be careful, stay peaceful, listen to everything. I agree with what that young person said before. Be willing to change your idea of what the truth is as well as we go along. I've changed mine many, many times. Stacy is okay. I don't see her right now, but yeah, I mean, I did that. I talk about how I escaped Catholicism, and I always do it with a smile, but I mean that. I was in that whole system, and I believed every bit of what that church said, only to find out that for me and my world, it made no sense, and most of it was inaccurate. So, wow. All right, one other quick piece from me now. I was out there today. I had some errands to run, and I was with my dogs. And this morning, I said, "Man, I have to get out in nature and just chill a bit," because I had to go to a vet. Anyway, I had a bunch of things. So I went down to this creek that Chris knows well. He and I have spent a lot of time there. Actually, Kara and I spent some time there too. And as I'm there, I walked and just sat by the water because my arthritic legs were flaring up. And as I sat there, there was a gentleman down I don't know, 50 feet. And he's looking at me and I'm going, okay, wonder what. But I looked away, I was playing with the dogs, and then he came walking over. And it happened to be a chief of police from a local area there. And he knew me from other events. And he came up and said, are you just relaxing? I said, yeah, I am. I'm, trying to just chill out a bit. I got things to do tonight. And he goes, okay, I just thought I'd come over and talk a minute. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, of course. So he asked me, are you going to be there is going to be a rally and a march for No Kings, No More Kings in his area near Camp Verde, which is a little area not far from Sedona, Arizona. Um, and I said, I'm not sure if I'll be there. I've been asked to come to a couple things and speak. I'm not sure which I'm going to do yet, but Creator will show me, or nature will show me, or both. And he said, well, I'm going to be at that one, I believe. And I said, okay, hopefully it's all peaceful and you guys won't have to do much. And he goes, no, I'm going to be there to make sure that everybody's rights are protected. I'm going to be there for the protesters. Wow. This guy is, I'm trying to put this softly. He's very law and order minded, very military minded. He's shifting. He said there's been too many lies. We can't keep doing this. It's wrong. He was in the military for 20 years. And so we had a pretty nice chat. And we both, we're never going to agree totally. We're going to disagree about many, many things. But worldwide, we were talking and the changes that have to come. And he said, this is really new to me. So I'm going to probably show up at some of the things you would normally be at, or people like you. I'm not sure what people like me means, but anyway, it was really powerful, really powerful. And I think we both walked away feeling, wow. So maybe both of our perceptions of what was true and reality shifted a little bit in that conversation. So I'm just going to put that out, and that's for you guys too. And thanks. And you young ones, yeah, please get out there. Please be careful. Please, please, please. I know most of you were probably at Standing Rock with us, and you know how important it is to stay safe, but also to stay peaceful. Don't hate. Don't go into anger. Just be there and speak your truth. Okay. Okay, shifting back in. Ooh, who was next up here? Stuart. Stuart, you have your hand up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I just can't find
I
how
know
to unmute
it's
myself.
a pain in the. Oh, you're okay. You're unmuted.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so I have a few things to say. First of all, I'd like to request, if possible, that Kira could turn her camera back on. That would be cool for me, because I'd like to address your question and be able to see your reactions.
Oh.
Did that happen? Yeah, there she is. Hi. So I've been on this call since the beginning. I got a call or a text about 10 minutes before it started from Mark, letting me know about it and inviting me in. And it seemed like it could be more important to my life and my evening than what I was focused on at the time. So here I am. But for the first number of minutes, I didn't know really what I was going to contribute. And I had some hesitancy around this theme of the truth and my own truth and my truths about my life and myself and a lot of stuff that I'm somewhat hesitant to talk about. And I may before I'm talking, but what I want to say is that you're being on this call and you're asking the questions that you asked, to me, really brought the call alive. And it seemed to serve the purpose that you were asking about. because here we are, we're connecting as a group of people might connect in person, but we're doing it without being in person because we're scattered all over the world. And we're doing it through Zoom. So in a way, we're all connected, like in a meeting or a group, like even like group therapy, what they used to call in the 60s, group therapy. Um, uh, and and your questions really spoke to me, and really I felt my energy come to life. And so what I want to say is that we're kind of doing it right now. We're using technology to come together as a group of people and to answer questions and potentially discover more of our own truth by interacting with each other. My background, I was born in 1959. There were no computers that I was aware of. And when I got to college in 1977, after graduating high school, I found myself doing theater. And theater is a phenomenon where people come together and people have gotten together and created a presentation. And then the audience gets to witness that presentation. And then it might provide something to talk about. And so theater is a gathering of people with self-expression happening. And that became my path professionally. And although I haven't had the career that I hoped for, and I haven't really had any career to speak of, and that's part of my shame I feel about the truth that I'm feeling about who I am and how I'm showing up today at 66 years old. But about 12 years ago, I did attend my first New Culture camp. And there's a website called nfnc.org, Network for New Culture.org. And I've attended maybe 20 of these camps in the last 13 years or so. And the main feature of this camp is the community could be 50 people or 80 people sitting in a big circle, usually in a dome. And there's some facilitators, and everyone has a chance, if they should want to enter the center of the circle and express themselves. What's on their heart and their mind and their what's alive for them to share with the group. And we're encouraged when we participate in this. It's called the Forum, or the Zeg Forum, named after an intentional community in Berlin. Zeg, Z-E-G-G, Zeg Forum. And the theory is that when we come together with two or more people, like the spiritual concept, where two or more are gathered in his name, and we share something that's not necessarily easy to share, but it may be causing us some pain, that the potential for healing through the courage that is required to speak what's weighing on your heart to another person or to a group of people can have profound healing effects. And so what I would say to you as a person that's young enough to be my child or grandchild, I don't know what, I'm 66, but there's something about getting two or more people together and sharing from your heart, which can be supported by techniques that actors study, how to get into their body, like through movement and dance, that opens up the body, opens up the heart, opens up the voice, and allows self-expression to come from a deep place and to be heard, witnessed, and shared. So in a nutshell, that's what I would say to you, in addition to using Zoom and asking great questions, and letting people answer them, but also potentially getting people together, sitting in a circle, and one at a time getting them to stand and enter the middle of the circle and truly express themselves for 3 to 5 minutes, and perhaps be facilitated in doing so.
That's awesome, Stuart. Some great responses. I'll see if Kara wants to respond back, but let me put this in there too. I'm 75, so I'm ahead of you. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And grandmother Jan's on here, is now 103, and she
Wow.
commented how looks like we have people ranging from 22 to 103 on this call tonight. That's amazing. And the whole thing that I just wanted to throw in here was, yeah, I was teaching when the internet came out. I was university at that point, and again, I remember, oh man, that's the devil. You can't use that. That thing's horrible. That's going to destroy the world. And I spent 35 years plus traveling around the world because I had to live with and sit at the fires of indigenous people to learn their ways. Suddenly, we could sit and have something like this, where people from around the globe could be here exchanging ideas. Not to me like that's the only way. I still would rather be, I wish we were all sitting in the fire right now. But this is an incredible tool when used properly. And of course, it can be misused. Any of them can be. But yeah, Kara, before I moved back into the raised hands, did you want to respond to anything to Stuart, or between you kind of said it all?
I mean, I responded a little bit in the chat, and I mean, mostly just thank you for your perspective. It was really beautiful and really powerful. I'm really taking that to heart and soning with it. So thanks.
That's awesome. It looks like Chris, I think you were next.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Then I see.
I'm gonna paraphrase a couple of things. A couple of things that helped me early on in the journey. One was this quote I read in the Bible, which is, "Come ye as children unto the kingdom of heaven." And to me, what I've learned from that is when we look in the eyes of a young child, especially newborn or up to 3 months old, the eyes are so wide open. They're just like a sponge. They're taking everything, and they have no judgment, no preconception, no beliefs, nothing. They're blank space. They're literally experiencing through that blank slate, which is learning to be written through their direct experience. That I found really helpful. And it's not very often I quote the Bible, but that's one that I do like from it. The other thing that took me a long while to learn is I can't understand or find truth or any version of it if I don't know who's listening. So I had to learn the me who was listening. And that's where I found, I had biases, I had beliefs, I had attachments, all these things I had to work through, because none of those are actually me. The me I found was just the consciousness present in the current moment. Now, the third one, and
one more, Chris, and then out.
Yeah, I'll leave that third one for then.
Okay. I want to bring in a couple. I see Wankinyan is here. Did I pronounce that properly? Forgive me if I didn't. Wakinya, sorry. My apologies. The stick is yours. You're muted.
There you go. Now you're off.
Got it. Oh.
Hello?
Yep,
We can hear you.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, you was talking about how to how to think about oneself or find oneself. I do this through my music. I play native flute. I also play some other instruments, but
Hmm.
my flute I love to play, and I use it for medicine. I can't smoke anymore because of my COPD, so I use my flute music for medicine, and I pray. And this is what I was told that I could do. And so this is what I do in order to find out more about myself. I know we start at a young age to try to find out who we are inside. That's the one thing. It's a lifelong thing to do to find out who you are. We're never finished learning.
Thank you, Joaquina.
Jerry, you want to take it?
Yes.
Exactly how now
Um,
I met.
Got it.
First of all, there's a teaching tool I put up on the Gathering of Eagles page I've spoken of several times called the Wheel of Truth. One of those things, several of those steps, those different aspects, elements of the Wheel of Truth. Happiness is one of them, or not happiness, but love is one of them, as well as thanks. It speaks of becoming, being thanks, being gratitude, being love. I would say that we must become truth. We must look for first that truth in the last place that oftentimes we would think to look. That sacred gift of knowing that Chris spoke of was given to each human being, and it was placed within each one of us. When we finally look there, then we're ready for it. There's a teaching that listen, or your own words will make you deaf. And doesn't mean listen to those things around you, or quiet your voice so you can listen to your thoughts. It means even silencing the noise of your thoughts so you can begin to hear that deep truth, that quiet, small voice within us where truth resides. For those young ones, I would say that, especially if they're going out on this walk, know of those things that you hold dear to your heart that you know are true and are powerful. Call them to mind. Walk with them. Every step, every breath, every word that you speak going to these protests that are coming up. Wrap them around you like a protective blanket. Wrap those truths around you. Walk within that truth, within that beautiful truth, those beautiful truths that you know to be true. Walk with them. Be that truth in what you speak and how you act. And as you walk with those things, you will learn and understand more about those truths, more about truth, where it resides, where it lives within you, and how to connect to it and how to strengthen that bond. So for right now, that's all I'll say about that.
That's good. So, Jerry, to you, big thank you, Ate. Good words. That's from them. Ate is uncle for those who. Um, yeah, one thing I want to hit on what you're saying, Jerry, protests. Yeah, I guess we can call them yet. I prefer not to. When Standing Rock started and we were deciding how to cover it because no one else would, that was what it was going to be, the Standing Rock protest. When we came together at Standing Rock and sat with LaDonna Howard and a couple of others, we decided that was not a good way. Protectors. We were the Standing Rock protectors. And I think what's happening right now is about us coming together. Not everyone's going to. We know that. We see what's happening. But this is about uniting in a good way. And Jerry's absolutely right. It takes a protest to do that. But words are important. Energy is important. So let's hold in our heart that this is to bring us together. Like this policeman who normally I would not have any words to say. Yeah, that's excellent. Great words, Jerry. We also got grandmother on here who's been listening to everything. She said this has been really great. Um, she's suggesting that this program, this gathering right now tonight, has got so many directions. If we did this in the way of the old council, we'd probably be here for 3 days. So that's any of you who know how that works, you understand. We would be. Um, she's suggesting we consider doing this weekly, especially right now. And actually, Jerry and I have talked about that a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Um, and we can do special things. We can do, anybody wants to go into the group and say, okay, can we pull together a circle? Who's ever there, we can sure open it up. That's not a problem at all. So thank you, grandmother, and thank you for being our elder in this. Should we stay a little longer or should we? Oh, we still have a little bit of time. I thought I saw a hand up. Maybe I'm wrong. Was it you, Jerry? Oh, it's Chris.
Yeah, we always know I can talk.
No.
Surprise, surprise. Oh God, now that I've said that, I almost forgot what I was going to say. One of the things that I learned along the way is the truth that I find in everything is everything arises and falls away. Nothing is actually permanent. And to actually know something, we have to know how it is in this moment. If we get a concept of something and attach to it, then it's naturally changing. Like even mountains that we think are so permanent. You can go to the Himalayas and see fossilized sea creatures at the top of the Himalayas. Once upon a time, they're at the ocean. Mountains arise and fall away, which to me is the breath of the mountains, the breath of that piece of land. Everything is in this constant state of change. And when I got down to it, the only two things that I could find were true were truth and love. And the truth was that love, which is what everything is made from, with, and by, is that unconditional source creative love, not the human egoic perception of love, but that source, that love that never leaves anything. We find it in the beauty we see in things. We find it in the open heart that never loses touch with something. The ego searches out temporary sensation, stimulation, and approval, and we think that's something. Once you get in touch with that inner knowing, you look for the permanency of things, the love that never leaves us, that beauty that never leaves us, that connection or empathy that never leaves us. Talking stick in the middle.
Thank you. I just learned how to send the heart, so that's cool. Kara.
I've been trying to find it here, but I'm hoping somebody else is maybe familiar with this concept of the seven truths. I know one of them is walking in truth, but there's 6 others that I can't remember. And I know when I first read about them that it was it still is a helpful way for me to think about how, right, the truth is it's not just my truth, but it's also like how my truth is interacting with other people that matters. And that is part of living the truth, which is maybe another one of them. So I was just curious if somebody else was familiar with these teachings. I know that Jamie Sams writes on them a little bit. That's her book that I'm trying to find them in. But I would love to hear any thoughts, feedbacks around that.
I know they're in Jamie's book because I remember she and I sitting at the table and talking them through at one point. And she said everyone calls these the 7 Native American principles, but they were never just Native American. They were universal. So I know she captured it in there, but I can't remember which teaching it's in. Jerry, do you remember the rest of them?
It sparked a memory when Kira mentioned it to me in the comments, and then mentioned it here. There's an old teaching that speaks of all those things you're talking about.
Yep.
I'm trying to just let the silence within just be and see if that teaching will come to the surface. If it does, I'll definitely share something about it.
Yeah. And anyway, so this is good, Kira. You have homework. So by the next podcast, maybe you can bring those and we'll make it part of the program. They are powerful. I remember that much.
So we might go a little bit longer because one of the aspects of truth that we wanted to touch on also, I will allude to here in this story. So this happened a long time ago, shortly after the people had ended their Great Migration. There were among the people at that time 4 old men. They had nothing to do, no responsibilities. One was blind, could not see. Another was losing his hearing. Another was crippled and could not walk. And there was one that was losing his memory and could not seem to remember things very clearly anymore. So having no responsibilities, these 4 old men would gather together each day and just be amongst each other. It was during such a time that, and it was near the middle of the day, that even though the sun was near its highest point, suddenly the sky began to grow dark. No one had seen this before. They had never seen an eclipse, so they didn't know what to do. There was much fear. There was much anxiety. You could hear people running around in panic, screaming and crying. Soon, even though it was the brightest point of the day, it was as dark as the blackest night. You could still hear and feel all those that were in fear over this new development, crying and whimpering, calling out. The 4 old men continued to just sit quietly together. As that darkness was there, after a short time, it began to leave. And as that first ray of light reached down, it seemed to shine directly on those 4 old men. Suddenly they were taken to a place that was beyond description. This place was beyond the beauty that we know of in this physical realm. It was beauty. In this place, they could see the present. They could also see the past and the future. And they heard a voice speaking to them. This voice was telling them who they were, what they were given to do for this life. Began speaking much wisdom, much truth. It began to explain to them what their responsibilities would be. And the voice told them that they would be asked to take these things that they were given back to the people and share them. This voice told them that they would be the first elders. This voice assured them that they need not worry for what they were given if they should forget anything that they were told at this moment. All they needed to do was to look around them, for all truth dwelt in nature. And for each teaching, each lesson, there was a living example of that truth embodied in an aspect of nature. One of the animals, one of the trees, something would embody each one of those truths were embodied in nature, and that all truth dwelt in nature. So they need not worry. All they had to do was look around them to see they were surrounded by those truths. Suddenly, they were brought back into the village. There was no darkness anymore. It was once again, the sun was shining. The people were moving around. They saw that the four old ones had returned, and they saw that something wonderful indeed had happened because their infirmities were gone. The one that was blind could now see again. The one that was deaf could now hear. The one that was crippled could walk, and the one who was very forgetful, well, he seemed to be sharing the most. The people began listening to the words that the elders were speaking. This was how the first elders came to be. And I shared this story because of that truth, that all truth dwells in nature. And that's another aspect of what we wanted to talk about tonight. So I'll leave it. I'll take that back to you, Jim, now.
That's beautiful, Jerry. Thanks. I just want to correct you. They're not old men. They're seasoned. Stacy, did you have your hand up, Stacy?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to again thank you for that story, Jerry. Um, I think, and that actually led me, it confirmed my idea, even though I bet, I assume grandmother Jan would have some words to say about this, and Jim, um, people who are actually elders, in terms of myself, it's like I feel like I'm an aspiring elder. And Kira, you said something about like, your truth. I feel, like what I heard was a little bit, my response in my mind was like, oh, right, your own truth when you're around other people, sometimes you have to edit your truth because people be like, whoa, but also your truth in terms of other people, sometimes we have to be delicate in the way that we share something that we know, because if you know that someone else's opinion is very different, like Jim was saying, you talk to some guy that lives a very different life than you're not going to agree about everything. So I feel like I met this man about 11 years ago that introduced me to this idea of like the coyote teachings, right? Where you don't tell the truth. You tell something that is very different from the truth. But I also wonder, like, I'm trying to cultivate this idea of like, how can I communicate with people by asking more questions instead of just, well, I know this, because, hey, Oka, yeah, yeah. Uh, because that doesn't feel good to me when somebody tells me something like, oh yeah, just do this. Like they know something for like a decade and they're just telling me to do it like it's so easy. And we can't do that with youth. If you do that with young people, I was an elementary school teacher for a while. You cannot tell kids something. You can't say, no, this is how you do it. They shut down, and nobody likes that. It's kind of like, how do we invite people to kind of see through our eyes a little bit, like just a little bit? And then I feel like we get so much of a more welcoming response with that. So yeah, the Heyoka, the coyote teachings, but really it's like how can those of us who, in terms of truth and fiction, going back to where this whole conversation is, which I really still feel like the only thing that I know is what I can do with my hands, what I can see. So, we're here on this virtual thing, we're all talking to each other, and we're getting a glimpse of who each other is. We can't know anyone. You can't really know. And I really love what Christopher said earlier. It's like my grandfather told me many years ago. It's like When you stop learning, you die. So we're never done. We're never done evolving. It's like every moment there's an opportunity, but you also can't say that to people who are not really ready to take, like, I don't know, it's yucky to say like, oh, take responsibility for yourself, because that language isn't well received by people. But it's like, how do you honor yourself as a sacred being? How do you honor yourself as being connected to everything? And you can't say that to certain people. So we can model it, I guess. But yeah, I really think I'm trying to get to a point when I'm with other people who are not so open, or just like asking questions and telling stories, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is a key point. You can't just tell people what to do. You don't get anywhere, especially with the youth. I remember 30, 35 years ago now, when I really was starting on this road in a big way, and I was going around meeting with a lot of elders. My primary teacher was taking me around, and they would ask, or they would be talking, well, we can't get the young to listen to us anymore. They won't sit and learn. And I remember saying, because I was much younger and probably foolish, well, maybe it's because you're not listening to them. And that's exactly what it was. And once I got a little more experience myself, we had discussion circles on that. Those times are over. It's part of what's going on now. We're trying, a small group all around the world are trying to tell us what to do. It's worked in the past. It's not going to work now. Too many of us now are awake, which is going to be another program. Too many of us see what's going on, and we want to change. We want to come together. So, yeah, we have to, every conversation has to be give and take. Like you, in my teaching is mostly questions and back and forth, because I learn a hell of a lot more from my students than they learn from me every time. I know it. And that's a blessing. Put out what you can, but there's 50 or 100 of them. There's only one of whoever's standing up front. So thank you for that. To me, that's a huge takeaway from this gathering today. Kara, did you want to say something, or were you cutting out? I saw you do one of these. Okay.
No, I'm good. But yeah, I do have to leave soon, and it looks like
Yeah, we're going to
Stu
wrap
needs to
too.
leave soon. So yeah, wondering about a wrap up.
Yep. So we're
Cool.
going to get, I think we should wrap it right there. This was amazing. I will actually replay this later, I guarantee you, maybe more than once. Who wants to wrap it up?
I can.
Garrett, go ahead, brother.
Grandfather, Creator, Grandmother Earth, spirits of the four directions, four elements of life, spirits of our ancestors, and those who are yet to be born. We thank you for being with us, for sitting with us today. Spirits of the animals, of nature, we thank you as well. We ask that you continue to guide us, each one of us, as we leave this circle and we take these things that were brought today into our heart, into our minds. Help us with these things as we continue to follow down those paths, to seek those answers, to seek that truth. And we also give thanks to all that you give us for this life, this beauty of life, and the truth that resides within each one of us. We thank you for helping guide us so that we can hear, we can feel, and we can know that truth.
Aho, brother. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Come and join us on Gathering of Eagles as well. And that's part of Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother, which is our nonprofit. And 4 of us here right now are on that board as well. Just sit with what was said today. And I would say today, in this time we were here at least, because it's not just dependent on age or anything else. Everybody who was in this circle today was an elder, was thinking like an elder, was functioning like an elder. And that's beautiful. We can go back to what we are tomorrow. But for right now, this was a great sharing. And that's something that grandmother also said. And they thanked us for welcoming them into the council. And boy, they're welcome all the time. Thank you all. Have a great night. Ostelo.
Uh-huh.